Hi, I feel like I'm falling in love with him all over again. For the last 2 weeks, I have been waking up with sweaty palms, terrified about this day. I would say, Lord, please help me. And of course, joy would come and I would find great comfort. Also, due to your consistent and powerful prayers for me and our family, everything was getting accomplished, thanking God every day for his faithfulness. Yesterday, again, waking up terrified. And through my tears this time, I asked Denny to help me. And this is what I heard in his compassionate voice. Now you know how I felt every Sunday. And then, of course, he said, you're going to do a great job, babe. When Denny would preach, it's hard to believe, but he would be so nervous. On Fridays, he would be in his office many times looking at a blank yellow pad. I brought up his this is so old, Denny Bellesi with the yellow pad in it. I brought it up just for a little security blanket for me. Many times a yellow pad or crumpled yellow pad balls all around him where he would be tearing them off and throwing into the trash cans. The staff called it PMS, pre-message syndrome. The staff, I remember he would always get ideas in the last minutes before he spoke. God gave him things last second and they would be brilliant. He would scribble them in the margins while he was sitting right there, me next to him, before he would go up. So, like the Holy Spirit, those things would come to him, and he knew that it was, an important thing to say at that moment. And then on Mondays, Molly, Betty, Jenny, his assistants, whoever he had at that time, needed the gift of interpretation to transcribe them. It was so hard to read. As I prepared, my main concern was how will I thank everyone? The heroes that listened long hours to me and cared, walked, golfed, took Denny to his favorite restaurants, took him shopping to the outlets. He loved a bargain and would come home so proud when he found one. So I will start here. Okay, so my granddaughter Emily is going to deliver these flowers to Denny's 3 sisters. My sister Jana and Rick Yost. Go ahead. There we go. Denny's sister Sherry Weeks and husband Roger. And Patty Hall and her husband Bill were my heroes, absolutely. Now, Denny's almost 95-year-old mom, my mother-in-law of over 50 years, is watching from Newbury Park. So I'm going to videotape all of you saying hello to her, because I know she's watching, and she is now going to be the most popular at her care home, for sure. So here we go. I'm setting it on video. So you're going to say, hello, Roseanne. Beautiful. Hi. Perfect. She's sharp as a tack. And that saying literally was made for her. I can talk with her and she never says, I don't understand that, or I didn't hear you, she just is so sharp, really amazing. But I'm going to read off this list of names and my deepest gratitude to Jerry and Jenny Hill, Randy and Crystal Hammond, Debbie and Dave Pilichowski, Joey and Krista O'Connor, Monty and Krista Kelso, Rick and Mary Beth Dunn, Leslie and Kim Dowd, Randy and Robin Northrup, Brenda and Jerry Wilkinson, Lisa and Kirk Wahlberg, Tina and Tyson Neal, Terry and Stephen Zwick, Claudine and Leon James, Shauna DeKitis Holland, Betty and Lyle Johnson, Jana and Bill Berry, Kim and Tom Carpenter, Tim and Sue McCune, Wendy and Tim Lockwood Larson, Lynn and Eric Knocktrebe, Jim and Kathy Burns, Dave and Susan Barth, Mary and Dave, Jake and Mason Het. I know there's many more, but those stand out to me, to people that really sacrificed their time and energy. Denny has suffered with Alzheimer's it's been almost 20 years now. I know a lot of you don't know that and would never understand it, that it was even possible, but there were signs. Jeff Frum and the staff at Silverado, which changed my life forever. We went from darkness to light. I know you're here, so I want you to stand. Jeff Frum and the staff: Sheila, Casey, Stephanie, Doreen, Tracy, Jacqueline, Leo, Kim, Amy, Lauren, Mia, Jessica, Giovanna, Olga, Ross, Rosa, and the Mother Teresas that were there. Are you guys standing? I'm going to go quick over these pictures, if they could post that, because there are people online that are watching all over the world, and they don't have one of these. So I want to just point out some of the pictures. Denny's mom always loved that he had a little curl in his hair, and she told the story a million times, right, girls? Told the story a million times about how she used to flip his little curl right there at the top. His time, I mean, with Jerry, seriously, they walked like 10 to 20,000 steps, and they were so cute. They'd come home and show me that they did. Terrible blue tuxedos. Sorry. We didn't want it, but, you do what you can. Randy Hammond, how many times Randy came and picked Denny up for golf, brought him back, was so patient, let him drive the cart probably way too much. I finally warned him. I said, Randy, liability. And he finally stopped. Denny in high school, I mean, come on, who would not fall in love with that face? Randy, Northrop, and just their fun times. They loved the same things. Before my girls all went and got married, this was such a special picture of ours. Denny with that gap, and yes, he could shoot water out of that gap, out of that tooth. Our last family picture together, it was on Father's Day, and we all dressed like we were matchy. It was like crazy. We Dodger blue. This is the picture from the People magazine article that you will hear more about later. Our 50th wedding anniversary. Yes, we made it. It was such a big deal. It was such a big deal. A great guy took pictures of us. The church had been going for about 3 years, and this is in Dana Point Harbor, and so many pictures from this photo shoot is on our walls, and it meant so much. Our kids were just at that age, and it was freezing that day, and I remembered that very specifically. And they were troopers. Youth worker days, him with the dark hair and just, before he came here and turned gray. And then classic, right, is that not the most classic 60s like picture with the family? It's so good. I'm asking that if you take pictures, which I hope you do, or video, that when you post them that you use the hashtag #TheGoat, Pastor Denny. And let me tell you why I feel very comfortable using the word the goat. He would preach 4 services, then go to 3 events on Sunday afternoon. First thing on Monday, write thank you notes to the volunteers or the new people he met that Sunday, and then show up the next morning at 6 a.m. to the hospital to pray with someone before surgery. Who does that? He was truly not just a great preacher, my favorite of all time, but the ability that he had to be a true pastor's heart. So why October 6th? One, it's the day that we started in 1985. I know some of you were wondering about that, October 6th. It's also the day in 2018 that he had his heart attack that he really should have died from. But because I've Googled a million times, I think I'm having a heart attack, I had known every sign there was possible in regards to knowing what that was, and I went to dial 911, and I just knew he would not make it, and I drove to Laguna Beach Hospital. I pulled up to the red, I ran in, I said, I think my husband's having a heart attack, and in 90 seconds they had him on an EKG, and he had the Widowmaker, and he was within minutes of passing away on that day. So that is a very significant day. But being our very first service, and there's a sign when you enter the school that reads, "There are no strangers here, only friends you have not met." Everybody thought that we put that up during the church, but that was Dana Hill's, and it just was perfect. Why 333? When I heard Cirque du Soleil clown fall off the stage on top of me, long story. I was in severe pain for a very long time, and it was a very, very difficult time for me, kind of a Job journey, and I would wake up at 3:33, and God would remind me. In fact, it was so many times it was getting weird. I was like, what is going on? I would see the number 333 all over. But some rock star put it on their record album, Jeremiah 33:3. It says, "Call to me and I will answer you and show you great and unsearchable things you do not know." And I just want to remind you, when you see that number, because now you're going to start seeing it like waking up at 3:33, it's a call to prayer, people. It's a call to prayer. And not to just lay there and think about how worried you are and what you said to this person and whatever, getting frustrated or just turning on the TV. It is an absolute call to prayer, and he's reminding us of that. Why Cinema Paradiso music that we used in the beginning? That was Denny's favorite movie. It's rated R, but it's really good, and it's about love. It is about young love, and it's incredible. And Eric, thank you for filling in for Denny when he watched the movie, and then it came on again because it was a free HBO weekend, so he watched it again, and the phone was ringing, and it was like, why is the phone ringing? Oh, I don't know. He's thinking, I wasn't there, I was speaking somewhere. And yeah, it was a funeral he was supposed to be doing, and Eric filled in for him. And he realized right at the end, he went, oh, and he jumped up and he hopped into the shower and he shaved, completely cut himself. He put on this suit that he had, he looked like a clown, and he ended up just driving to the church and getting there right at the end, and he walked right up to the end, right? Like he was, I meant to do that. Yeah, that was our Denny. We had a lot of Dennyisms. But I want to tell you why I picked the color yellow. That was so important to me, and why my nails are done in gold and my toes are done in gold. And this is a sweet, long story, but I'm going to shorten it up as much as I can. Denny had a really, really rough time that last month. It was really painful, physically painful. I didn't know that Alzheimer's is painful, but it is. And he was in the hospital, and he had infections, and they brought him back in the ambulance to Silverado. And a woman, I call her Mother Teresa, got out a basin of water, and she put a warm towel over his face, and then straight edge shaved him, which he just always loved. He hated using the electric shaver, and she shaved him while I held his feet and watched it, and then she bathed his whole body. And then after that, I got to feed him. It's the only time really that was ever really needed, but I got to feed him, and I was sitting on the edge of the bed, and I was sitting on the edge of the bed looking at him, and we were kind of cuddling a little bit. It was kind of this warm moment with us. And all of a sudden, and I'm so grateful God allowed me to see this, his eyes turned the color of your program, yellow, that color. And they were sparkling. And he pointed to the ceiling, and he said with great joy, very loudly, "There they are. Can you see them? They're coming to get me." And it was as if heaven had opened up for him, and he saw it. He was so happy. And after such a painful, physically painful day, and I, of course, grabbed my phone, and I'm like, oh, I got to get this on video. And I pointed it toward the sky, and, of course, nothing was there. And when I went back to him, his eyes were brown again. And it was just in that moment, I know, I was grateful that I was there, that God allowed me to see it, because it just made me believe in heaven so much, and so much more. So many people have asked me, why did Denny have to suffer with such a debilitating disease? And I'm not a why person, but at times I wondered. There was times I wondered. And God gave me a verse. I kept thinking about this one verse, and I finally put the right words together to get it. But he gave it to me very shortly before he passed. It's John 21. John 21, 18 through 19. "Very truly, I tell you, when you were younger, you dressed yourself and went where you wanted." And Denny's clothes were so important to him. He would carry them around a lot at the care facility, and it just made him feel relevant, and it was a memory. "But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will dress you and lead you where you do not want to go." And this is the kicker. Jesus said this to indicate the kind of death by which Peter would glorify God. And I just realized that's when he was there at Silverado, he was comforting people. He was getting to cook again. He was getting to be, who he was. And he was just, I watched him help a man in a wheelchair with things coming out of his mouth, and he was trying to help him, and he was Jesus to these people. And he got to pray with people right before they passed, and God absolutely used him to glorify him. And if you're a why person, I hope that encourages you like it did me. That these things we go through, that God does it to bring him glory, because he knows what the other side looks like.